11 years ago, the first Russian representative in a long time, Khabib Nurmagomedov, broke into the UFC and showed the league the power of the Dagestani wrestling. The audience was amazed by the skills of these fights, but they were usually associated as wrestlers. Last year, the UFC officially assigned a promising fighter from Dagestan to the league, who blew up the internet with spectacular knockouts and highlights. Sharabutdin Magomedov, or simply Shara Bullet, has no future opponent yet, but has already caught the attention of fans, press, and he expects to get a top opponent already in his debut. Even Khamzat Chimaev didn't debut as loudly. The middleweight is close to having the strongest puncher and a direct competitor to the champion. Friends, today we intend to tell you the story of a tough puncher from Dagestan. Make yourself comfortable and get ready to watch. You're on the Octagon Blitz channel. Let's go. Childhood and the beginning of the journey. The future fighter was born in the small village called Arcus in Dagestan on May 16, 1994. From a small age, he was quite active and showed interest in sports. The Dagestani Tiger started his sporting path not in martial arts, but in soccer. He played quite actively for the local team and traveled to various competitions. However, from an early age, Shara was quite emotional, and once after one of the matches, he took part in a mass scuffle between the teams. After this story, the fighter decided to go into the martial arts and was immediately noted by the coach as a very talented boy. He continued practicing fighting, alternating between boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing sections, winning amateur competitions. He came to Thai boxing at the age of 18, and 6 years later, he has already earned the title of Master of Sports. A separate topic for discussion is the fighter's right eye. According to the Dagestani himself, it happened during the years of his amateur career, when he overworked a lot and did not pay attention to his condition. One day, he just closed his eyes for a second, and when he opened them, he realized that one of them was blind. The treatment is still going on, but the eye is still unusual, which adds a separate charm to the fighter. Professional career. His first professional fight under MMA rules took place in December 2017 in China. He took 4 fights in 4 months, winning each by knockout and only once reached the second round. But the fighter decided to retire from mixed martial arts for a while, dedicating himself to kickboxing and Thai boxing. He competed in many tournaments, including Glory. Before the pandemic, the fighter traveled to Thailand on borrowed money from a friend. There, he fought under the rules of Thai boxing every month, giving part of the money he earned to the gym's league. The league is part of the so-called pop MMA, which emphasize hype and are often accompanied by big conflicts between fighters. The rules of the league differ from the generally accepted rules, so it did not go on to the fighter's pro record, but the beginning of his popularity was laid there. The first opponent was Vasily Zubkov. Shara opened the tournament, but became the gem of the evening, demonstrating the mastery of leg kicks unseen until then. Low, mid kicks, side kicks, and many other variations. Sometimes he put together combinations of 4 or even 5 kicks, which greatly impressed the audience. His opponent tried to use clinch and make knockdowns, but every time he failed. The result of the meeting was a knockout in the 3rd round. Bullet closed his opponent in a clinch, hammered him with elbows, and finished him on the ground. The opponent refused to continue the fight. After this victory, the fighter was actively talked about in Russia, as a consequence of which he was called to the League Grand Prix in the open weight division. In 1/8, he faced Eldar Garifadinov. Shara got so busy attacking his opponent with kicks in the 1st round and got taken down. His opponent got into the back mount positions and was close to a submission, but couldn't do it due to league rules. The time of action on the ground is severely limited to 30 seconds, and it doesn't matter if he is active or not. Let's get back to the fight. Eldar tried another submission attempt, but again failed due to the time limit, and got several knees to the head at the end of the round. In the 2nd round, Shara was beating his tired opponent, hammering him with knees in the clinch, eventually sending him to a knockdown. In the 3rd round, the Dagestani found himself on the top of his opponent and started to deliver blows and elbows, and after being lifted up, finished the fight with a combination of kicks. The next round of the Grand Prix was not so soon, and the fighter decided to perform in one of the largest Russian leagues, AMC Fight Night, from where Sergey Pavlovich came to the UFC. The opponent was Yakub Kudiv, with a 4-1 record in MMA. Shara worked smartly, defended well, and constantly attacked with kicks. His opponent didn't last long, and soon, Bullet has his opponent in its clinch. dropping knees on him and finishing the job with a brutal kick to the liver. Less than a month later, he returned to the Grand Prix at a fourth. His opponent was the wrestler Vladislav Kovalev at 1/4. His opponent fought hard and landed successful takedowns. Shara was getting up and leading in the stand-up, beating his opponent with his hands and feet. His low kicks were getting Kovalev a lot of trouble. Eventually, the opponent became less effective and surrendered the initiative towards the end of the fight. A solid unanimous decision in favor of the Dagestani. A month and a half later, the semifinals took place, where Shara met Ivan Machenduk. The Dagestani had a huge advantage in the stand-up, smashing his opponent with kicks and knees. By the end of the first segment, he sent Ivan into a knockdown and hammered him with elbows. The 3-minute round ended, but his opponent refused to continue the fight, and Bullet made it to the finals. However, the end of the Grand Prix was not so soon, so the fighter decided to fight in other leagues. In October 2021, he faced Mikhail Alakverdian. The Armenian rushed forward from the start and clammed Shara at the net, where he threw punches and held his opponent in the clinch. The action lasted long, but at the first opportunity, the Dagestani found a gap and smashed his knees and elbows into his opponent's head. The fight went to the stand-up, where Bullet was smashing his opponent with kicks and arm combinations. Toward the end, Mikhail went forward with an open jaw and caught a brutal elbow to the face. The knockdown went viral, and according to many, was the best of that year in the Russian leagues. The next opponent was Joel Dos Santos. The Dagestani immediately established an advantage in the stand-up, smashing his opponent to the body. The time he showed this takedown defense and completely defended against all attempts to make a takedown. At the beginning of the second round, Bullet again showed another highlight for the best knockouts and knocked out his opponent with a hook kick. Masterfully honed techniques coupled with speed and power left no chance for the Brazilian to stay on his feet after such a blow. In April of last year, he finally made it to the Grand Prix of the Russian League against Pavel Berlutsky. Despite its status as a Grand Prix final, this fight was Shara's fastest test in the league. Bullet controlled his opponent at a distance, constantly attacking with kicks on the body and combining punches. His opponent tried to respond with his boxing, but each time, Magomedov increased the distance between them. He lowered his left hand, distracted him with his right hand, and landed a jab with his left. His opponent fell to the canvas and got a couple more unnecessary punches. Magomedov received $5,200 and an apartment in Moscow for winning the Grand Prix. That's where the Pop MMA performances come to an end, and Bullet signed a contract with the Russian League RCC. Before that, however, he got involved in an unpleasant situation. The fighter was walking through a shopping center in Dagestan and noticed a couple kissing. In Bullet's native land, where traditions are strongly revered, kissing in public is considered ugly behavior, and Bullet made a small remark to the guy in front of him. The guy took it hostilely and provoked a conflict, and after that, he first hit the professional fighter. A fight started, but to the delight of that guy, strangers involved and separated them from each other. But Shara did not calm down, and when his opponent approached again with bad intentions, Shara Bullet knocked him out and threw a soccer kick, a brutal fight that hit all the media and ruined the fighter's reputation. However, black PR is considered promotion, along with the hate and a lot of fame gained. In his RCC debut, he faced Sergey Martinov, nicknamed The Butcher. The fighter was ready for an aggressive start and countered his low kick in the styles of Machida in his fight with Jones. This gave the Dagestani a few problems at the start, but later he started combining punches of the body, confusing his opponents. Martinov tried to respond and move forward, but each time he got a counter punch or knee to the face. Magomedov's advantage became quite evident, and he started hammering his opponent like a newcomer at the gym. He was especially tough in the Thai clinch. The Butcher had given up a hope of victory and caught a lot of knees to the face, officially allowing the referee to stop the fight. The next opponent in the RCC was Mikhail Rogozin with a 21-5 record. Shara Bullet was throwing kicks at his opponent with a special pleasure. The opponent was unable to withstand such an experienced kicker and time after time suffered the blows. Only at the end of the first round, he took the Dagestani's back because of Bullet's own mistake. But he had no time to do anything. In the second round, he increased the pace, engaged his knees, and began to smash his opponent even harder. Sergey was getting tired, while the Dagestani was only gaining momentum even with such active work. His opponent could do nothing, and the unanimous decision victory went to Shara Bullet. After his victory, the fighter visited Thailand and fought for the belt at the TFC Championship Fights Tournament, which had no other fights besides Shara's fight for the title. I'm not going to tell you anything, just watch it. A knockout in 7 seconds is the fastest finish in the Dagestani's career. He has long been famous in Russia, and his fame has reached countries across the ocean. His highlights shook the internet. He attended a tournament in Abu Dhabi where he had a stare-down battle with Charles Oliveira. Russian matchmakers decided to attract the fight with big fees and a title fight at AMC Fight Night against a local champion. However, the fighter instead got a bigger fish, even a whole dolphin. Famous fight manager Ali Abdul Aziz became the fighter's manager and began talks with the major leagues. Fans held their breath, waiting for news, and at the end of 2022, the news about the signing of the fighter in the UFC came out. And not just signing, but accepting on special terms. Large fees, which were not unexpected by the opponent, will be, but it is unknown for sure that he will debut at the tournament in Abu Dhabi this October. The fighter does not forget to fuel interest in his personality, also at the expense of conflicts. He took part in the ADCC grappling tournament where he kicked his opponent. Later, it turned out that the Dagestani approached his opponent before the fight and asked him not to hurt his legs in order to get injured before the debut. The opponent, of course, ignored the absurd request, a situation that raises more questions than answers. And that's the end of the video. Are you excited about this impressive striker's UFC debut? Write in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe.